The Rogue Prince takes place about 6 months after the death of Queen Aemma and Prince Balon. Pressure on the capital of Westeros continues to rise, with Viserys Targaryen facing 2 critical decisions. First, there's the Crab Feeder, whose violent actions in the Stepstones are causing direct harm to Lord Corlys Velaryon and his fleet. The Sea Snake wants the Crab Feeder dealt with as soon as possible, but the king isn't so sure. If the Crab Feeder's operation is funded by the free cities east of King's Landing, an escalation of conflict could lead to open war. With Viserys and Corlys unable to reach an agreement, newly named heir Rhaenyra proposes her own plan, flying to the Stepstones on Dragonback as a show of force.
It would be a show of force.
Despite her direct line to the Iron Throne, Rhaenyra's proposal is dismissed flatly, the first of many indications of her low standing among the small council. It's not the only proposal that falls on deaf ears with the king. Again, we turn to Corlys, who approaches Viserys about something entirely different, the king's second marriage. In less than a year since the death of Queen Aemma, expectations and overtures for Viserys' next queen have begun to rise. Corlys nominates his own daughter Lena for the position. The Targaryens and Valyrians share Valyrian ancestry. They control 2 of Westeros' most powerful forces, and their union would signal the crown's strongest days are ahead. On paper, it appears to be a good match. Viserys finds it more difficult to swallow. Lena Velaryon, after all, is only 12 years old.
I would give you many children of pure Valyrian blood, so that we might strengthen the royal line and the realm.
Lena promises the king in one of the series' most disturbing scenes. Viserys is concerned, but not so much that he doesn't seriously consider the match. As he discusses with his advisor Lionel Strong, marrying Lena would strengthen 2 of Westeros' most powerful families and go a long way toward resolving any lingering resentments about Viserys' ascension to the throne over Lena's mother, Rhaenys, the queen who never was. Viserys and Lady Alicent Hightower have been meeting in private for the past 6 months, a match made in the shadows. Unbeknownst to Viserys, Alicent's father and Viserys' closest counsel, Otto, has been quietly working to bring the 2 together. For the time being, no one else, including the Princess Rhaenyra, is aware of the king and Alicent.
You do not mention our talks to Rhaenyra, do you?
A worried Viserys inquires of his daughter's best friend.
I fear that she wouldn't understand them.
Alicent is clearly burdened by the secret, torn between competing loyalties to her father, king, best friend, and even herself. It's a much easier one to keep for Viserys, who hasn't spoken to his daughter in months since the queen's death. Rhaenyra is preoccupied with other things, enough to overlook her father and friend's growing closeness. For starters, Rhaenyra is learning to accept her role as the heir to the Iron Throne. Rhaenyra takes on another important task, filling a vacancy in the Kingsguard, after the small council ignores her advice on the Crab Feeder situation. Ser Criston Cole, the only candidate with real combat experience, most recently demonstrated during his joust against Prince Daemon, is quickly chosen. She has no other reasons for choosing Criston. Late in the episode, Rhaenyra faces another challenge, a duel with her exiled uncle, Daemon. Since his exile from King's Landing, the titular rogue prince has been stationed at Dragonstone, boasting about the ancestral Targaryen residence. His most daring act was sneaking into King's Landing and stealing a dragon egg to put in the crib of his unborn son, the same egg that had been set aside for Rhaenyra's late brother Balon, the heir for a day. Viserys, enraged, intends to confront Daemon directly. Otto talks him down, saying it would be far too dangerous for the king, especially with only one heir. So the hand goes straight to Dragonstone, confronting the prince on the castle's bridge in a beautifully tense, cinematic encounter. The sun is low in the sky, and the threat of steel is right there with it, as Daemon and Otto's conflict reaches a bloody climax. The only thing stopping the violence is Daemon's snarling dragon, Caraxes the Blood Worm, and the unexpected arrival of Princess Rhaenyra on her own dragon, Syrax.
I'm right here, Uncle.
Looking up into Daemon's cold, Valyrian eyes.
The object of your ire. The reason that you were disinherited. If you wish to be restored as heir, you'll need to kill me. So do it.
If words are wind, these are positively gale-forced, capable of knocking Daemon down a notch or two. He returns the dragon egg, and Rhaenyra returns home, expecting to be greeted as a hero. Instead, her father, who is furious at her unauthorized flight to Dragonstone, chastises her.
You are my only heir. You could have been killed.
But, as is typical when dragons are involved, the frostiness melts quickly. Viserys and Rhaenyra have their first honest conversation in months, finally seeing eye to eye, not just on their shared grief over Rhaenyra's mother's death, but also on Viserys' need to marry again in order to secure the family line.
I do not wish to make us estranged.
These words turn out to be rather windy in and of themselves. Later, in broad daylight, Viserys declares his intention to marry Alicent Hightower, shocking everyone in his life, his daughter, Lord Corlys, the rest of the small council, and possibly Alicent herself. The cost of a choice made for love, if that's what this is high for Viserys. It ensures separation from Lord Corlys, but also from his daughter. Worse, it separates Rhaenyra and Alicent, a decision that will prove as deadly as any in the Game of Thrones universe. To put it another way, if Viserys choosing Rhaenyra as his heir is the pivotal decision on which the House of the Dragon is built, then his surprise engagement to Alicent is only slightly off-center, but crucial enough to define everything that follows. In the final scenes of The Rogue Prince, the rejected sea snake, nursing his wounded pride after the king's rejection, seeks an unlikely ally in his crusade against Kroghas Drahar, Viserys' brother, Daemon. Corlys pitches the prince on a completely different alliance, one that will bind them both in a bloody battle against the Stepstone Scourge. House of the Dragon has matched Game of Thrones in terms of violence and political intrigue in just 2 episodes. We'll see how it handles its depiction of all-out war in its next act, as the rogue prince takes flight and fights his way to the crab feeder. Shell rages like a snake and dragon scorned.